Let's now look at some conditional statements, and in this particular case I'm going to look at A and B. We're going to look at if statements, else statements, while statements, else if statements. For our simple example now, we're going to use if A is less than B. So I simply type in if A less than B, and now let's look at where A and B have been defined. If I go up in the code, A was used in the nmap, so I need to define it again. So let me go just above B, and let's call A equals 1. Sorry, A should be 1, B is 1.2. Now let's do some definitions. I need to put a colon here, which then allows me to enter the next line with the indentation. I want to print, and this is what I want to print: A is less than B. So if A is less than B, print this. And to see the other condition, I type in else, because if B is greater than A, I need to print B is greater than A. Let me just make sure that is correct. It's actually not right. I need to type in B is less than A. Sorry for the confusion, just trying to work through the logic myself. So let's now look at whether the calculation is correct. Run the program, and we see A is less than B because A is equal to 1. If I change the value of A, let's make A 1.4, and we run the program this time, we should get a different answer where B is less than A. Another handy feature using something like PyCharm is that when I make changes to the code is automatically saved, so I don't need to then have to save the file again. Other handy feature is if you go to the top section where it says run, I can run the program while within PyCharm. So if I hit the run button, you'll notice at the bottom it'll ask me which program. I select hello, which is the name of our current file, and when I do that, the bottom section shows up the output as we would have had in our Linux environment that we've been testing. So it's another handy feature that you don't need to keep going back to Linux or your environment like PC or Mac to test the code when you can do it right here. We can also run the code with this play button on the left hand side, and that will do the same as testing the application from within PyCharm. Now let's look at what we can do in this if statement by adding a command called else if. So after it says print A is less than B, let's type in else if, and else if is written as ELIF in Python, and the condition now should state if A is less than B, print A is less than B. Else if A equals B, then we want to print A is equal to B. I'll fix up the syntax in a second, but print A is equal to B. Let me go up and change the value of A to 1.2 to make this consistent with them being equal. And I need to put a colon here after else if. And what I've forgotten to do is the A equals B needs to be next to else if. So let's go to the next line and change that. Else if A equals B, colon, and what I really need to do is this equals sign needs to be a double equals. So A equals B, then print A is equal to B. Now if I run the code in Kali Linux, let's make sure this actually works, and there we see A is equal to B. This is how we use the code in Python. You need the double equals to sign, and the else if is written as